What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming back at y'all with another recruiting outlook, man. And no, it's been a crazy week just covering recruiting across college football, but especially for I know all the YouTube channels out there that cover the SWAC. It has been just pure chaos this week, especially with Travis Hunter and all the elite prospects going back to the SWAC. And so I promised you guys I would bring y'all individualized recruiting outlooks for some of these teams. And so just a few things. So what we'll do is cover the biggest needs for each team, some of the top prospects, cover some players who may or may not be considering, or some players I think would be a great fit that they should target in the portal or something like that. And then, of course, give a final grade at the end of the episode based on what they've done already, who's committed, what they've done thus far in the recruiting class. One thing to remember though, this was just early signing day. There is another signing day on like February 5th, I believe, 4th or 5th, somewhere around there in early February, where that's where a lot of other prospects are committing. So these recruiting classes are not finalized. And also you got the transfer portal open 24/7. 365, and so you never know. I mean, I could post this episode now and then an hour later another recruit commit coming out of the transfer portal. So recruiting is an ever changing landscape. So I'm just going to give y'all an update as I drop these episodes on what's happening right now with each of these recruiting classes. So we're kicking it off with Florida A&M today, good old FAMU. And to start with, the biggest needs for FAMU, these aren't ranked in any particular order. These are just the top 3, 4 needs that I think they need to address. Starting with quarterback, it was one of the biggest question marks in the two biggest games of the season. Now, Rashawn McKay did an excellent job leading this team throughout the season. He has some great performances, but when it came down to it against Jackson State and Southeastern Louisiana in the playoffs, he just could not deliver that next step. I think he's a solid quarterback, but I think if FAMU wants to win the SWAC, they know they're going to have to eventually upgrade this position. And even if like the person they bring doesn't necessarily take the job from Rashawn McKay, they need someone to push McKay and really create some real competition. I would say in that quarterback room, they need to find someone who thrives in areas such as accuracy, pushing the ball down the field, and things like that. So I think one, finding someone who potentially could take your offense to the next level, but two, just create some competition to kind of push that whole quarterback position forward for the Rattlers and get it to that next level, because this could be the difference, like it was this year, of winning a SWAC championship or being one game away from finding yourself in that position. The other position, we're going the defensive side of the ball, defensive tackle. I think they're going to have to try to find a way to replace Savion Williams at that D tackle spot as he takes his talents to the next level. They already have a solid piece in Gentle Hunt. He really was one of those breakout players, I would say, in the interior of that FAMU D line as the season went along. Had huge games, I would say, really over the last 3, 4 weeks of the season. He was all over the field in Southeastern. Him and Savion absolutely dominated that Southeastern offensive line on the inside. Now they have to recruit a sidekick to take the place of Savion. They got to recruit size, physicality, and get a true run stopper in the middle of that defensive line. They have pass rushers on the outside. It starts with Isaiah Land, of course, but having that big guy on the inside that's going to take 2, 3 guys on him to move him, that's really going to take this FAMU defensive front to the next level. And especially with offensive lines in the SWAC get bigger, you have to recruit bigger defensive linemen that can hold their own and offer a whole new, I guess, threat to the offense, where you have to game plan for that defensive tackle. So that's why I have defensive tackle on the list. And of course, this is probably the biggest need. If I did rank them, this would be the number one need. When you are losing two All Americans at one position, it is going to be tough to replace them. I mean, this is going to be one of the most important aspects of recruiting for Willie Simmons and this coaching staff. Florida A&M is going to have to try to find somebody to help replace Antoine Collier and Marquise Bell in that secondary. And along with that, Monroe Watson is also on his way out in terms of just DBs in general. They have a big hole at safety right now. I would imagine FAMU would love to land a few high school guys for the future, but to replace two guys the level of Collier and Bell, you're probably going to have to look to the transfer portal for an immediate contributor to somewhat bridge the gap into next season. So I would imagine FAMU is going to try to recruit, I would imagine, no less than 3 to 4 defensive backs and try to find some sort of bridge into the future, because it's gonna take 3 or 4 guys to replace what just those 2 guys brought to this defense. And then kind of an honorable mention, an auxiliary need, I would call it. This would just be great if you could have it, but it's not necessarily a necessity. Running back is going to be important with Bishop Bonnet, who is the heart and soul of this team. And really, I mean, the offense and especially the team. But the Rattlers have to find a way to build some depth now that Bonnet is out of there. And they got to find the future of the running back position as a whole. I think a transfer portal pickup for depth and or an overlooked high school prospect that Willie Simmons feels like can be developed are going to be their two best options. Now, like I said, this is more of just like a side need because Terrell Jennings and Jalen McLeod are still returning, but it's always nice to have depth at running back, especially with how common injuries are and the wear and tear of running backs in today's brand of college football. How common they are, you like to have 3-4 guys at that position that can really contribute. And they do have some young guys on the roster. We just kind of got to see if they can carve out a role in this offense. Now, looking at the top commits, we'll start with Zaire Riley, a defensive back out of Gadsden, I believe it's County High School. He's a 2-star. And listen, I know when I say 2-star, everyone just kind of cringes. They're like, 2-star. Jackson State just landed a 5-star. Grambling got a 4-star quarterback. Listen, I know his 247 profile might not move the needle for some people, but it's because of his size. That's the biggest draw in the recruiting process for Riley. And it's something that's really kept a lot of teams away from this talented DB out of Havana, Florida. Now, he held offers from FAMU and Middle Tennessee State, according to 247 Sports. And the reason he was overlooked, he's only 5'7", 165. That's extremely small, especially matched up in one-on-one coverage with some of those bigger, longer wide receivers around the country. But the reason this addition is huge for FAMU is his athleticism. That's where he makes up with his size. Now, I just want to go through some of the things that he's done in high school. He was named the defensive back MVP at the Underclassmen Report Orlando Elite Camp this summer, and also won the Gatorade G Award at the FBU camp in July down, I believe it was in Pensacola. Now, both of these events included multiple Power 5 commits and recruits, including some 5-stars in the state, and Riley was winning the MVP awards at these events, and multiple scouts have quotes about Riley's footwork and ball skills really standing out. Now, I couldn't find his stats from this season of high school football, but entering his senior year, he has 6 total interceptions in his high school career. Now, FAMU was the first school to offer Riley. It paid off with his commitment, and I believe he's going to be a more developmental piece as they look to find ways to utilize his athleticism while not making his size as big of a factor. But I think this was a very underrated pickup for FAMU moving forward. Now, my favorite pickup, I'm going to be honest, this one I'm excited about. And listen, just an FYI, I might have this guy on the show next week, man, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But Isaiah Majors, linebacker, Independence Community College, which is Last Chance U, and he's a top 10 JUCO linebacker in the country right now. And this is a top spot that I thought, or one of the top spots that I think FAMU probably needed to address. You look at that Southeastern game, the linebackers were really the biggest drawback on that defense. They couldn't cover the running back out of the backfield. Nobody could pick up the tight end. I thought the linebackers were a weak spot at the end of the season. This is an immediate contributor. Majors is going to play on the field very quickly for FAMU, in my opinion. He held offers from UMass, Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee State, Southern Illinois, and D2 Power West Florida. Had 0 offers out of high school, but quickly became one of the best JUCO players in the country. Now, why do I think Majors is so good? Man, his versatility. Let me tell you, I couldn't really download his film for some reason. It's giving me an error. But when you go watch his tape, you can go find it on 247, his recruiting profile. He can play Mike. He can play Will or Sam linebacker. He can step down into an edge role. He can play box safety. They took him out to slot. They took him out to boundary corner, and he dropped back as the deep safety in some of the defensive play calls on his film. That versatility and athleticism is why Majors, I think, is the biggest pickup FAMU's had all year long thus far. It allows your D coordinator to be very, very creative with his play calling and, more importantly, his personnel groupings. Because what he can do is mix and match much better because Majors can fit into multiple spots in many different personnel groupings and schemes. That's why I think this pickup was huge for FAMU. Now, Majors in 2020, 30 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, had multiple block punts. This kid is a special teams nightmare due to his speed. But he's going to solve a major need at linebacker and can offer some depth, as crazy as this sounds, at the safety spot after Collier and Bell left due to his athleticism. So Majors should find himself on the field early. The Rattlers could be the diamond in the rough for them in this recruiting class, where Majors is going to be one of the faces of the new defense in 2022 for FAMU. Now, the next three guys, I'm gonna group them together because they're all offensive linemen. Darian Whedon, O lineman out of Cisco College, Jalen Armstrong, and Will McCollum, both out of Copia Lincoln Community College in Kansas. Now, this was a need as well. Listen, O-line was a giant need after FAMU loses 3 key offensive linemen this season, including first-team All-American Keenan Forbes going to the NFL draft. I would believe Keenan Forbes is going to be drafted at least late in the draft. Absolutely will have a roster spot next year. Now, Whedon is an absolute unit out of Cisco, man. 6'3", 310, and was a key piece to that O-line that started every single game these past 2 seasons, and they went undefeated this year in their division and had a chance to win the – I don't remember what the exact national title was called, but like they won a championship due to them being undefeated. Now, Armstrong and McCollum are also, listen, McCollum is 6'5", 320. Armstrong 6'4", 310. FAMU is getting some size on this offensive line. And with Armstrong and McCollum, they're teammates. They've both been starters and both fulfill immediate needs, but the chemistry is there. I speak on this podcast so much. Chemistry matters for offensive line. Armstrong and McCollum have now multiple years of experience playing with each other. This was a big pickup for FAMU in terms of offensive linemen, and you've got to establish depth, and now they've done that. Now, another player that didn't commit this week, he committed back in August, but I don't think anyone talked about it, was Tatarius Lee, linebacker out of Deerfield Beach High School, a 3-star linebacker. He committed in August, and this was a giant win because they landed him over some big programs. Listen, Lee held offers from Auburn, Kentucky, Louisville, Maryland, UNC, Syracuse, and Tennessee. In his interview with the South Florida Sun Sentinel, he said he wanted to take his talents to an HBCU because he wanted to show the country that you do not have to go to a PWI and that you can be successful in any school you attend. So this was a huge win for FAMU to land Lee. He's talented enough to see the field, but I do think he'll be more of a developmental piece for the future of this FAMU defense. So I would expect him to possibly redshirt or, see some sort of role in like a special teams area or something like that. Now, the last commit we'll go over, Jeremy Musa, man. This is a quarterback from Vanderbilt. He was the number 3 pro-style quarterback in the 2018 class. He played for Hawaii, played for Vandy, went the JUCO route. But this was one of the needs I talked about for FAMU, and now they have someone to come in and challenge Rashawn McKay for that QB1 role. And like I said, this could be the difference between a SWAC title and missing it by just one game. He's had multiple P5, Group of 5 FCS offers throughout his career out of high school and JUCO, and now FAMU has depth at minimum at the QB spot. The thing about Musa is he has a very live arm. He can sling it, but the number one concern I have is accuracy, and that's still something that I think FAMU needs to have at the QB spot. But we're going to find out. Willie Simmons is one of the best QB developers in the SWAC, and so I think it's going to be an interesting battle between McKay and Musa this offseason. Now, This kid's a multiple time all conference and all state selection in high school, had 90 touchdowns, over 7,000 passing yards in just 2 years at Eleanor Roosevelt High School. He averaged over 353 passing yards per game, threw almost 40 touchdowns in only 9 games at San Bernardino Valley College at the JUCO level. He threw for 630 yards and 7 touchdowns in his first start and won the co-conference Offensive Player of the Year award in 2019. Now, the good thing about Musa, he has a lot of experience in a lot of different offenses, but his opportunity at FAMU will not come easy. He has to learn the playbook, and he has a lot of catching up to do on McKay and him being so familiar with Willie Simmons. So this competition is extremely important for FAMU, but Musa and McKay are going to push each other to be better, and I'm excited to see who comes out of this QB battle stronger. Now, players to watch. I'm just going to kind of mention these. I won't go too in depth, but I mentioned on the live stream that Jordan Yates is my pick for quarterback. I still think they need to go out and talk to Jordan Yates, former Georgia Tech QB. This kid is electric. I think he fits the system very well, and he's a South Georgia kid that I think would have no problem stepping into FAMU and giving them a solid quarterback. Also, DeMonte Trainum out of Arizona State, a running back. This kid has so much potential, and I think his size and what he offers is similar to Bishop Bonnet. I think he could come in and be an immediate contributor in this offense as well. And then Ira Henry III and Jalen Goss, both Florida State offensive linemen in the portal right now. Go ahead, strike while the iron is hot. Take some more Florida State players, man, and go ahead and beef up your O-line a little bit, add some depth. Then you got Kayvon Pope from Ohio State. This linebacker said he wanted to go the HBCU route. Linebacker is one of those needs for FAMU. I think they can bring him in, and he could probably start immediately at Florida A&M. And finally, a dark horse in the portal, Jared Verse. He was a defensive end out of University of Albany. He's one of the highest rated defensive ends in the portal right now. I think FAMU would have a strong case to bring him in at the edge spot to pair him with Isaiah Landon and say, you guys could be one of the scariest end duos in the SWAC. And that would be a huge plus for FAMU and Willie Simmons to strengthen one of their strengths at the defensive end spot. So I think that those are some guys you need to watch out for in the portal in terms of what FAMU could land in the coming weeks to months. Now, grading FAMU's class thus far, you know, I can't give it an A yet because there's still some needs I think that need to be addressed, but I'm going to give it a strong B plus right now. I think it's a great start. They got some diamonds in the rough that I think could really develop into something. I think I need to see one more quarterback be added. And for me, if I'm going to give it an A, I need to see that game changing, transfer safety come in. I need to know that you're going to be able to replace Antoine Collier and Marquise Bell. Those are the only two things I think are missing in this class, really. But a strong B plus right now for FAMU. And I think this class is really shaping up to be one that's really going to contribute in a big way this upcoming season and into the future for the Rattlers, man. But that's my FAMU recruiting breakdown, guys, man. I appreciate y'all's support so much, man. Thank y'all for rocking with me over these past few months and everything, man. Hit that like button on the video. Make sure to subscribe. We'll be back later this afternoon with more episodes, man. Make sure if you're traveling to Atlanta, man, y'all be safe. And listen, I can't wait to see the game this weekend. It's going to be – we need to drive the views up, man. I told everyone on my live stream it needs to hit 3 million. The Celebration Bowl needs to have 3 million views. So make sure to tune in if you're not going to be in Atlanta. If you're going to Atlanta, like I said, man, be safe. But until next time, guys, the Blue Bloods are out.